Hello, this is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, coming to you today with my best buddy, business partner, resident inventor genius, and so much more, as you're going to learn here in a little bit, Shane McKenna. We're here to talk about Ascending Harvest and the crowdfunding project, and today we're going to also be talking about making movies, which is kind of a fun thing that we're going to do this Friday to help bring a little levity to your life and a little enjoyment to your rest of your Friday and hopefully this weekend as well. First, I want to talk a little bit. Well, actually, first I want to introduce Shane. Shane, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everybody. I'm coming fresh to you from the sound studio where I was in the process of making a movie today. So there you go.
Which, of course, is why we're talking about making a movie. Because it's at the top of our minds, and heck, we just ran out of things to say. Anyway, so Ascending Harvest is in the, I guess, the last third of a crowdfunding campaign with Indiegogo. Our goal is to raise $27,500. We're about at $11,500. We've had 145 contributors, and we're very, very grateful for each and every one of you who's contributed $1, $5, $10, and in some cases much more to the project. We are using these funds to pursue large grant opportunities so that we can put hundreds, thousands, maybe even millions of our human-powered hydroponic gardens in the hands of families who need them the most. Our technology allows anyone, anywhere to grow their own food, and we're going to make a significant dent in the world hunger problem by empowering families to help themselves and lift themselves out of poverty, give themselves much better nutritional resources for their days, and do our thing to help humanity. So we're very excited about that. Please go to ascendingharvest.com, sign up for our email list, or better yet, click on that green button, which takes you to our Indiegogo campaign, where you can learn a whole bunch more about the project and have the opportunity to support us there. So thank you in advance for all of your support that's forthcoming, and for those of you who have supported us so far, thanks so much. We really, really do appreciate you.
Yes, we really do appreciate you. Without the support of the community, it would be awful difficult to make a change in the world. So thank you for being change makers and getting involved and helping to empower others.
So as it turns out, this guy that I've been doing business with here, this furry, long-haired dude that you see on the other half of the screen, he's not just a great inventor. He doesn't just have a heart of gold. He's got all those things. He isn't just, kind of a famous artist with incredible artistic ability. As it turns out, who knew it? He's also a movie star. So, or let's say he's a movie star that has only been discovered so far by the people who have made the movie that he's in. And soon he will be discovered by the rest of the world, when this movie gets shown to all kinds of other people. I'm not sure how he was actually cast in this movie. Perhaps he can tell us. I'm thinking it might have had something to do with typecasting, or people figured out that they could save just one hell of a lot of money on a makeup budget. I'm not sure. So Shane, I don't know I know that parts of what the movie process are secret that you can't tell us about, but I'm guessing that you can talk to us about the process that you went through and what you learned in this entire process of making this little movie. So let me know, what have you learned about making movies?
Well, let me talk about the movie a little bit first. So I got connected with the movie because one of my friends on social media is a writer, director. He's seasoned. He's done lots of commercial work. And he had written this film 8 or 10 years ago. And this year he wanted to do a film for the Sundance Film Festival and some other festivals around the country. And so he got together with his team and they said, well, hey, why don't you make Fish Out of Water? And what Fish Out of Water is about, it's about a professional surfer who has been forced into retirement, and he's not dealing with that very emotionally well. And he's not taking care of himself, and he's looking pretty disheveled and exhibiting a lot of frustration. And the fun thing about the movie, or it's a dark comedy, by the way. So it is quite humorous. And there's a nice reveal scene at the end of the movie that the audience gets to have this very satisfying aha. You know, when you watch something and you can't figure out where this character is coming from, this is one of those movies that when it gets to the end of the film, the truth gets revealed, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
Cool.
But, you know, this guy spirals down further than most people would. Let me just put it that way. And you're right. You know, having somebody, you know, I got really dirty. I put a bunch of coconut oil in my hair to make it all stringy to look like I hadn't showered for 2 weeks. And, you know, and the set was amazing. The set, the location, I mean, it totally sells this story. And it's a short film. It's not like a major movie production. It's a short film. It probably is 5 to 7 minutes long. I actually seen it for the very first time today. And you know, it probably sounds biased coming from an actor inside the movie, and I use that word very generously as in actor. But you know, everybody involved with the movie is really pleased with it, and I'm proud of it as well. It's done really well. The cinematography, the art direction, all of the elements of the movie come together to tell just a nice, well, a dark little story.
So have you done any acting before, any theater or anything on stage before?
So when I was in high school, way back, you know, in the Middle Ages, we had high school drama. And honestly, my whole thought process about high school drama is there's cute girls in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was involved in drama. And really what I enjoyed when I was involved in drama is I liked the technical side. So I liked the set design and the prop design and building the sets and the props. And that was something that fascinated me more than the acting. But I did act in, one of my favorite things to do was to do dramatic readings. So I like to find a piece of literature that had a lot of emotion in it and then act that out. And I was in drama in my junior and senior year, and both years I went to the state competition. You know, I was at least good enough to get qualified to go to state competition and to compete at the state drama level. So for whatever that's worth, I was a high school drama geek.
I think that's just a plus. So it's like, you know, a Hollywood casting director is walking down the street and he sees this guy and he says, man, this guy looks just like the lead character in my movie. And then they're just surprised to find out that you actually have a little acting experience, and that just sold us, and you're in, and before you know it, it's roll the cameras.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. My friend Michael Orey is the writer and director of the movie, Orey Media, here in Salt Lake City. Uh-huh. And actually, he put out a Facebook blast, and he said, I'm looking for someone who can play a retired surfer. Long hair, a beard, maybe a little bit of a beer belly. You know, somebody that can portray a has-been. And so, you know, I apparently nail that role really well.
That's cool. So, you know, I have never been on the set of a movie. I've done a lot of work in theater, so I'm, you know, familiar with a lot of that kind of stuff. But I've never really been on the set of a movie. Talk to me about what you learned about the entire process of making movies that was kind of surprising to you and might be surprising and interesting to the people listening.
You know, I think the thing that was a little bit surprising to me is just how many shots it takes.
Yeah.
And not because the shot was a bad shot, but because they want to get, let's get a slightly different angle. Let's get a little closer. Let's do that from a different perspective. Let's get a wide shot. Let's do this camera motion shot. And you end up doing the same scene over and over and over again, and not because it was done incorrectly, but because they want to have a bunch of variety. And the same thing today, I went in to record sound because some of the sound from I was wired with a mic on me for the movie, and a lot of the sound came through, but there were areas where the sound was a little weak, and so we were in the sound studio today and re-recording those lines. But what I think one of the things that surprised me is just how many takes are involved, and then how many of those just never see the light of day. You know, they end up on the proverbial cutting room floor, and so it's, you know, you see a movie and you see a few scenes, and those scenes might have taken all day.
Yeah.
Because they take those scenes from a lot of different angles, and there's a lot of preparation, and in movies there's something called continuity, where you have to make sure that everything is in the same place, because you know, if an inanimate object moves from one scene to the next cut, well, then that's, you know, that creates a discordance that makes the story, you know, less believable.
Yeah, it creates a goof or a blooper that we read about on IMDb.
Yeah,
about how the you know the shirt was tucked in on one scene and it wasn't in the next. Yeah, that's really. I don't know what the rule of thumb is. Did you do some of those scenes like, you know, 2 times, 10 times, 20 times? What's your recollection there?
So there was one particular scene that it's the most dramatic filled and most emotionally intense part of the film. And so that we filmed from a lot of different angles. There was a ton of different angles. And also, I think the other thing that surprised me is obviously from my perspective as the actor, I see the camera pointed at me, but I don't know how they framed the shot. So I was really surprised when I saw the film, where I thought, you know, my whole upper body was going to be in the shot, when really it's just revealing a small part of who I am. Yeah, you know, like one shot I thought it was my whole upper body, and really what all they're focused on is like my shoulder, because they're trying to build some intrigue and drama in that moment. And so here I was thinking, you know, I was worried when I was doing the scene, you know, what's my facial expression and everything. You know, that didn't even matter. All I had to have is a good shoulder.
No, that's hilarious. how you communicated emotion with your shoulder. I'd say that's a very gifted actor that could do that. Whether you intended to be.
No, I think that's a gifted director. I think that's a gifted director that's, you know, building some story, building some tension in the story right there. But,
so I know. I was going to say, I know as a singer, you know, if I sing the same song like 5 or 6 times in a row, it changes a little bit, you know, as my mood and my emotion changes, and as I play with the notes and holding this out and, you know, raising the volume and lowering the pitch and all that, you know, whatever I'm doing to play with it a little bit. But when you make a movie and you're doing the same scene like 5 or 6 times, or you're dubbing something over, you don't have that flexibility, do you? Don't you kind of have to do it the same on take 5 that you did on take 1?
Actually, what they wanted is they wanted a lot of variety.
Oh.
So that as they knit the story together, both with the visuals and the sound, they wanted a lot of variety. So we did a lot of shots where they had me do it just a little bit differently, so that when they started to edit it, they could get what was the visual best appeal. And then in the sound recording studio today, they had me do several lines. There's some lines that I might have done 7 or 8 times, and what they were looking for is slight differences in inflection and in tone and volume, and so that they have some choices, so that as they tell that story, they can go, oh, there he said it perfectly, and they'll knit that in there. And anyway, so there's a lot of repetition just to give variety to the storyteller, similar to like an artist wants to have a full color palette. The director, who is an artist, wants to have a full color palette to draw from for what they're going to put in a film.
Cool. Now, when you did the dubbing work today, did you have to match, exactly the same pace that you did on the screen so that they could, take the words and put them over your lips the way that so it looks seamless?
So a little bit. We did that a little bit. I mean, I was watching the film at the same time that I'm saying the words, and so there was some sequencing there. But with the technology that they have today, they can shift that sound really easy to make it match up, right? So they can just put that in the exact right spot, and they can actually take words from completely different takes and put those in there. And the movie, as it was cut, the rough cut of the movie, they had taken some good audio from other parts of the movie and just matched it to when I was saying the same phrase or the same word, and just matched it in there because they needed something to plug in there so that they could get the feel of it. And then today was just about getting just the right inflection and emotion in each of those spots that they felt, oh, we need just a little bit, something just a little bit more here. We need something a little more subtle here. And I actually found on the sound set where I'm not actually acting out the scene, where I'm just doing the vocals, I found that to be a lot harder to register with and find the emotions of the character. It was so much easier for me on set when I was combining the physical. When I was only doing the voice, I found it a lot more difficult to find the emotion. But part of that is because the film really is funny, and we're watching it, and I'm like, okay, how am I supposed to watch this and not laugh? When I was doing it the original time, I'm just in that pure state of frustration. I registered with that, and I found that, and I portrayed that, and now I'm watching it, and it's making me laugh. It's funny, and so now I'm trying to find that emotion again. And so there was a couple of times I did it that I just closed my eyes so that I was.
Yeah. Very cool. So when are we going to be able to see this movie?
So it's been submitted to a couple of film festivals. It's been submitted to Sundance and South by Southwest out of Austin, Texas, another big film festival. So that I don't know a lot about film festivals, but they're telling me that those are two of the larger film festivals in the U.S. and the application has been accepted by both festivals. So it hasn't been approved that it's in the festival yet, but both festivals accepted the application. So, hey, maybe it'll show up there. If it doesn't show up there, then it'll be released through other channels. But once it's been released through and seen at the film festival, then it can be publicly released. And Ori Media has a relationship with Canon Camera and Film Company, and so Canon is also promoting this film, and so it'll go through I don't know what their division is called, Canon Media or something, but it'll go through their media division and get distributed as a film that they got behind.
So maybe 10 months down the road, 8 to 10 months down the road. I don't know. When it strikes me that South by Southwest is a summer event, and Sundance maybe late spring, early summer, something like that.
Sundance is end of January, first part of February.
Oh, good.
And so I don't know when South by Southwest is, but they won't want the movie in release. If it
Right.
gets accepted at the festival, they won't want the movie in wide release or in public release. I guess it won't ever be in wide release, but in public release, so that people who are going to the festival get a fresh look. They're
Yeah.
kind of the first ones that get to see it.
So if it gets in Sundance, then maybe we'll see it next March or something.
Yeah, and if it gets in both festivals, and they're also applying to some other film festivals, so if it gets in several festivals, then it'll make the rounds through the festivals, and then I think it would be publicly released. So if it gets accepted into a festival, you'll have to go to the festival to see it if you want to see it before it's publicly released.
And I guess that means for me, if I want to see you on camera, well, I've got to bring my own camera.
Well, it's one of those things. It's one of those things. I don't have access to it, and so at some point I'm going to get to see it on the screen, and that's going to be a lot of fun with all the final edits.
I'm sure they will be. Let me try to kind of make a segue here back to Ascending Harvest. What does making movies have to do with Ascending Harvest? And what it has to do with it is just a broad reach of experience that we have. Shane, as an inventor, an engineer, an artist, now behind the scenes and in front of the camera when it comes to making movies, is really but a fraction of the experiences that he has had in his lifetime. The places he has been, the things that he has seen, all of the jobs that he's done, the people that he's met, and all of that rich experience adds to this pool of resources that he can withdraw from when it comes to things like creating something like Ascending Harvest and creating the human-powered hydroponic gardens that he has created. Likewise, I've been around the block a few times, seen hundreds of businesses, literally. So we're able to draw from that rich of experience in so many different industries when it comes from developing the business model, the strategy, the financial projections, all of the different things that go into starting and growing a business. So neither one of us are spring chickens. So there's spring chickens, by the way. I love young kids and the advantage they had. When I think of myself when I was 22, 25 years old, and Shane, oh my God, the boundless energy that we had. We were able to work 20 hours a day for 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and then we just needed to crash for a day and we're up and ready to do it again. I love that boundless energy. But I also like, working smart from experience. It's like Michael Jordan is a basketball player. He was a different basketball player when he was 38 or 39 than he was when he was 23. Both of them incredibly outstanding. One of them raw talent and raw energy, and the other one, true professionalism with decades of experience behind him. And I think that's what we bring to Ascending Harvest. So if you are young and you're 23 years old and you've got boundless energy, which, by the way, we have a couple of young people on our team, we love to see that balance of experience levels, on our team and in your team too for business.
Yeah. The other thing about making a movie that's very parallel is that it takes a team. It takes a team to get a project off the ground. And the beautiful thing about a movie is there's this wonderful tradition of crediting everybody that participated, and right down to the people who catered and the people who, drove the cars, and all the different roles that people play. There's a great tradition in sharing the recognition, and even the smallest contribution gets some recognition in the credits of a film. And so I think when you see Fish Out of Water, if you see this movie, I think you'll be surprised at how many people are in those credits to make a 5-minute movie, a 7-minute movie. I mean, it takes an incredible team, and Ascending Harvest is no different. I mean, we have a really big mission. It's a complex mission. It requires a lot of people, and that's that's where you can contribute, is you can be one of those people who can roll those credits in your head and say, you know, I was a part of helping feed the world. I empowered somebody. A system went to Africa in my name, and that system for the next decade or 2 or 3 is providing food for a family. And what an amazing credit to roll through your head. I mean, that system, the food that it provides, you know, it's conceivable that could outlive you, and that could, and certainly the ripples that come out of that, like a movie. I mean, think about the really great movies that you've seen and how they've drawn parallels in life, and how the reason that they resonate with you is because there's something in that movie that reminds you of being human, of rising from conflict, or great passion. All these things that draw us to these movies and that make great movies. Just imagine the people that are going to come out of the empowerment of this technology once they have the power to feed themselves and have the nutrition that they can move to the next level of life, rather than being locked into the cycle of poverty that they have very little hope of getting out of. And just, you know, maybe there'll be a great movie that comes out of one of those people that you help feed. We just never know where these ripples will lead to and what our impact truly is. But if we don't take the steps, we don't get to enjoy the impact.
Awesome. Well, we want you as part of our team. We want you to go to ascendingharvest.com, give us your name and email address, click on the green button, take a look at our Indiegogo campaign, slip us $1, $5, $10, $20, you know, whatever you choose to contribute to help make this project move forward a little bit faster. And, you know, and we will give you credit for that. One of the things that we do for people who sign up or contribute is that we put them into a prize drawing where we give away one of our human-powered hydroponic systems, our gardens, at the end of each one of these Zoomcasts. And I think we're ready to do that right now. The way we do that is Shane gives me a number between 1 and 10,000, and I plug it into this little spreadsheet I have here, and it comes up with the winner. Shane, what's our magic number for today?
6823. 6823.
6823. And the person whose random number comes closest to 6823 is Megan Gieber. Megan Gieber is a lovely young lady I met here a few weeks ago at an event, a business event. She is the CEO of an aspiring young company here. So Megan, congratulations. You are the winner of a human-powered hydroponic garden. We'll deliver one to you when we get out of mass manufacturing in about 6 months, or you'll be able to donate it to a family in need at that time. If you would like to be in the prize drawing as well, you know, or even if you don't want to be in the prize drawing, go to ascendingharvest.com, click on the green button, slip us $1 or $2. We certainly would appreciate it. And who knows what the heck we're going to talk about on Monday when we come back. We oftentimes decide this, you know, what we're going to talk about, you know, a few minutes before we go on the air, and this time I think it was more like a few seconds before we go on the air. We had a couple of different themes that we were going to talk about, and we decided, heck, it's Friday, we're having fun. Let's talk about making movies.
Yeah. So
Shane, you want to take us out?
Not quite a movie star. Not quite a movie star here saying so long, folks.
Thanks. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.